Welcome to this episode of This Week on the Battlefield, the show where we cover news, updates, the community, and so much more all around the Battlefield franchise. In this episode, of course, we're going to be talking about the Lightning Strikes updates, the first of 2 January patches, and all the details we have received regarding what to expect from that patch so far, the supposed long-awaited company coin fix. In community news, we have speculation on what is in store for Battlefield 5 in 2019, sales numbers for Battlefield 5, and a little bit of good old Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 nostalgia. And lastly, of course, some brilliant only in Battlefield moments for you guys to enjoy. In terms of Lightning Strike then, we know not only when it's releasing, but when we're getting more information on it as well. On the 14th of January, we should be getting the full patch notes regarding changes that will be coming alongside the Lightning Strikes update, as well as the full and not just the teaser trailer for the content drop. On the 15th, we're going to get the actual patch. That is not to say we're going to be getting access to the content, instead just the updates and changes, as well as the content updated into the game, although not fully available just yet. The content actually fully drops on the 16th if you're in the US. If you're over in Europe, it's more around midnight towards the 17th. And of course, if you're elsewhere in the world, it could take even longer. So between the 16th and 17th is when Lightning Strikes will be fully available to play and all the new content accessible. In terms of what we know from the teaser artwork and teaser trailer that we have been provided with this week, we do know that it seems to be a little bit more tank focused than some of the other updates, especially because the Stug 4, which is a Panzerfaust based assault tank for the Germans, was spotted in some of the promotional artwork. What you can expect, of course, from this update will be new missions, new guns. Over the course of the chapter, we should be getting access to combined arms, a temporary return of Rush, as well as, of course, squad conquest. In terms of bug fixes and changes, however, the list is quite significant, and although we only have a small amount of the supposed changes, we're getting them because the patch notes supposedly will be 10 pages long. What we do know in terms of things worth noting is that the domination round timer should be getting adjusted to last a little bit longer, so games last around 15 to 20 minutes. We should be getting improvements to the death experience, making it easier to know who killed you, and improved accuracy regarding visual representation of incoming bullets, as well as improvements to the UI directional damage accuracy, so those hit markers that show up supposedly indicating from where you're being shot, but of course, as it stands right now in the game, usually those aren't very accurate in the first place. So improvements to that are of course welcome. As most of you will know by now, we're expecting vaulting improvements, as those have been demonstrated by the devs over the last few days. Supposedly we're getting ragdoll improvements as well, specifically regarding deaths caused by explosions. Ragdolls are hilarious to me, so to me this isn't an update that is going to improve anything really. We're getting major changes to weapon and vehicle balance. I expect this is specifically regarding aircraft, tanks, and of course the medic SMGs. As we've learned more specifically, those once more are getting some changes. We're getting the return of the one-hit Panzerfaust on planes, a welcome addition back into the game, especially for those beautiful only in Battlefield moments. Footstep audio is seeing some changes as well. Supposedly your soldier is now going to make more noise when he's walking and sprinting, but he'll be quieter when you're crouching and crawling, allowing for a stealthy gameplay if that's what you're going for, and hopefully allowing the rest of us to finally start pinpointing our enemies with the help of a decent headset or some kind of stereo setup. Now in terms of specific weapon changes or weapon mechanic changes, we don't know a lot. What we do know, however, is that the bipod is getting a major rework, not the rework that we were teased earlier on that supposedly is coming in the next patch, the fixes for the bipod themselves. But what is being changed is that vertical recoil reduction for crouch is going from 30% to 25%, when prone from 50% to 40%, and that no longer stacks with bipods. And this is a vertical recoil reduction, I should add at this point. So the way I understand this is that generally bipods will have more recoil now, or less of a recoil reduction, which means they might not be as powerful as previous, although they weren't that powerful in the first place because they never tend to work. That aside though, on the SMG front, supposedly we're getting buffs to their accuracy and recoil reductions to improve their medium range performance once again. I think DICE still hasn't quite gotten the message that the SMGs need a buff in close quarters, with the exception of the Suomi and Tommy gun, and not at medium range, because that is never going to be the engagement distance at which they excel at. In addition to that, there's also been a fix for an issue that caused weapons to remain too inaccurate after sprinting for too long when going ADS. This expressed itself in quite sporadic and quite brutal recoil. That supposedly has been fixed and supposedly affected SMGs in particular. Regarding any netcode improvements, assignment tracking improvements, there's nothing other that we should expect some of those in the 2nd of the January patch, but that is again not confirmed, more speculation and hints if anything at that. Other noteworthy news to point out with this week is that DICE has supposedly been able to internally fix the super bullet bug, a huge amount of damage being dealt by one bullet, stacking of damage, although that won't make it into the first patch, sadly, coming this week. We've also, of course, this week got a fix for company coin accrual that's rolled out and solved the issue for the majority of players. Supposedly not quite everybody yet, and there's some other issues that they need to focus on as well, but at least the majority of people now should be earning company coin for every single round. Now, according to DICE, once they fixed it for everybody, which they should be able to do in the near future, they're going to be looking into how to give and reward players who have missed out on company coin, haven't been accruing company coin, because we've all been playing at max rank for quite some time now. They're also going to be working on the end of round screen, correctly communicating the amount of company coin that you receive. That, of course, currently isn't the case, as it then shows you suddenly that you earn 1,000 company coins, which regrettably is not true. And for those of you wondering, interestingly, we got some insight into the earn rates of company coin. So for a game, at the end of a game, depending on how many points you had in that game, you will earn a certain amount of company coin. Now, accordingly, between 0 and 999 points, you're supposed to get 25 company coins. Between 1,000 and 1,999, you get 50, and so on. In other words, 25 company coins for 1,000 points. How long this goes on for, or if this changes over time, hasn't been confirmed yet, but basically what this means is for every 1,000 points, you get 25 company coins, which actually means that you should be earning a substantial amount if you're in the high 10 or 20,000 points after a good game of Conquest. That, of course, if it works, the company coin fix. If you're interested in more details around company coins, the issue that they had, how they've been fixing it, I'll link down below in the description an article from DICE where they kind of went over the issue and explained it in a little bit more detail. If that's what you're interested in, head down and read up on that there. And the last bit of news then, DICE is looking into, or most likely, going to disable bipods when prone on backs for the next patch to avoid the kind of corner camping, pretending to be dead, and then gunning down people with an MG42 or any other of the LMGs, that is to say. In community news over the past few weeks, one of the more interesting topics that popped up was Battlefield in 2019 and what to expect, both in terms of confirmed content, speculation, and maybe even wishlists. Most of the major content creators made a video on that topic. My personal favorite, definitely linked down below in the description by JackFrax, talks some very interesting ideas around customization, skins, vehicle skins, and how DICE can properly implement that in a successful way instead of unimpactful, meaningless way that it's implemented as it stands now in the game. Regarding Battlefield 5 in 2019, I will be putting out a video next week, this coming week, depending on when you're watching this video, regarding how DICE can turn Battlefield around with the help of Firestorm. Stay tuned for that, should be an interesting one of the more analytical episodes of my Fixing Battlefield series. Speaking actually of those sales figures and not being so successful, we got some interesting sales figures on the actual physical sales of Battlefield 5 this week as well. Very interesting video by AKA Art, down below in the description, linked of course for you guys as well, where he talks a little bit about not only what these sales figures mean, how realistic they are, how they compare to previous games, and what it also means for DICE with Battlefield 5. Would definitely recommend you check that one out if you're interested in how Battlefield 5 is doing and, well, what could be done to maybe fix it in the long run. And lastly then, in community news, while the RSP memes have started to die down, the bugs and issues and lack of fixes certainly are lingering and grinding on people's gears. Unsurprisingly as such, we've seen quite a resurgence in some Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 content over the last days. Let me know down below in the comments actually if you'd like me to do some live commentaries back for Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1. Would be most interested to hear your opinion on that. Also, if you're interested in the state of Battlefield 5 and how many bugs there really is, or you're not convinced that DICE has some serious catching up to do, I'd recommend you check out another video by AKA Art, again linked down below in the description, where he covers 200 bugs, problems, or issues that need to be fixed with Battlefield 5. Moving on then from the community to the only in Battlefield moments, and we start off with an absolute brilliant MG42 massacre by Quasimodo8. He's going to be positioning himself essentially in front of a bunch of enemies who decide then to promptly run in his direction, and given the way he's set up with the weapon that he has, he's not going to have to reload, he's not going to have to change his position, he's just going to pick up 15 kills as well as a kill assist. Absolutely amazing, taking out half the enemy team in what is roughly around 30-40 seconds time. Brilliant stuff. I wish stuff like that would happen to me. The second clip in today's video is not actually an amazing kill streak, instead a lucky/tactical game-winning V1. Martinado is playing on Conquest. It looks like his team is going to lose, but with the help of a carefully placed V1, he just manages to turn the last few tickets in his favor, winning the game for his team on a razor-thin 2-ticket margin. I just thought this was really satisfying, almost more than just getting 15 kills on a V1 on some Conquest objective. This actually had an impact on the game being won. Lastly then, of course, we've got Always Baked Never Fried returning in-game main Lugarios Burt, who's been featured on the Only in Battlefield Moments before. This time round, he's going to be taking out 2 planes. Seems to be his specialization. The first he's going to take out with a stationary, beautiful shot, and the second then immediately after, consecutively with a Panzerfaust. Absolutely brilliant stuff. I wish this guy was on my team more often because pilots do manage to piss me off on a regular basis. Coming to the end of this week's episode then. If you enjoyed the show, find it interesting or entertaining, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share, and of course hit me up with your feedback, suggestions, and opinions down below in the comments or over on Twitter. With that being said, however, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you in the next episode of This Week on the Battlefield.